All right. Thanks for having the doors locked. That meant I wasn't late. And but anyway, okay. So we're going to open the meeting, and let's see now. We had already taken care of zoning and court. Water and sewer was pretty much discussed last meeting. Are there any additions? Did everybody read over the information that was handed out on water and sewer? Do you feel like you have the information necessary to make this the final recommendation? John and...
I don't have a problem with
All right. John and Corinne, you went through it. It's your subcommittee. You feel that everything's covered that needs to be covered?
Yeah,
Right.
I do, other than, the benefits and stuff, but that's,
Right.
town-wide, so it's something we can't,
Right.
take an attack on right this second, so.
Does anyone else have does anybody have anything that they read that they disagree with? If you feel like you're ready to vote on that portion of the final meeting or final recommendations, let's take a vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Water and sewer is taken care of. Administration and finance, how are you coming with your final?
A lot of what we have to do, especially with the financial part, is we can't put some figures down until we get some clarification from the different committees, and also get some clarifications on some of the items from the state of New York that and we've made those requests, but they of course take time to come back to us, and a lot will depend on what's going to happen with can't make financials without DPW and without public safety and so on.
Okay.
But we're doing well, and meeting once again tomorrow at Lyons. We've met twice this week.
How are the figures coming for, I guess that would be, administration would be the retrofitting the buildings. So is that something that you're working on too?
Oh, we talked a little bit about that because probably both buildings are going to need some renovations. And I'm not sure whether or not I can go ahead and if the committee can say hire somebody who can give us some figures, say an architect or somebody familiar with what we're going to have to do to these buildings.
Well, the problem is we don't have a budget, so we can tell you to do anything you want, but the village and town are going to have to pay for it. So I think that's something that is, if you feel you need to have that done prior to the final recommendation, either the town or village is going to have a joint task force, or the village will pay for it. I don't know how that's going to work, but it needs to be done.
It's probably going to be a part of the dissolution process for the cost, and until we're really finalized as to who's going where, that also would have an impact on how much it's going to cost. If indeed it in the long run is going to be police and courts here,
Right.
What is that impact going to be? Or if the office itself, with the town clerk and the clerks and keepers and so forth, how many offices, how much space, and some of it we can't really ask somebody to give us a figure.
Well, I thought we pretty much had it figured out that the courts and police were going to stay here because it would cost too much to move the police department. And I don't know, the code enforcement was gonna stay in the basement, but if you're talking about moving them also, I don't know if there'd be a cost to that, unless you left zoning and code enforcement downstairs where they currently are.
Well, why would they have to be downstairs? I mean,
Well, that's where they are, and there's a lot of files down there, and they.
Oh, they have space where they use their files and so on,
Right.
yeah, okay. But
So-
they could still like greet the public at the front door, more or less there, right? Where the clerk's office is
Right.
now. Fair. Oh.
But if all your clerical people are down at the other the current town offices, if that's all the clerical people are gonna be there, to have one clerical person here for the zoning and code, that sort of defeats the purpose of combining jobs for the clerical. So, right?
Well, I'm thinking, I thought we wanted to keep the code enforcement and the police department together because they're supposed to be working.
It's like a two-pronged attack.
Yeah, that's right.
Really.
Right.
And the physical plant for the code enforcement, I mean, he's got all these property files for the village that are all here.
Right,
So-
well, I know, that's what I'm bringing up now. If we're gonna have a one-quarter person, is what was recommended last week for zoning and code, you can't have a quarter of a person here and everyone else down there, unless you kept the clerical person in the town offices to make appointments and whatever, and the code enforcement officer was here certain hours of the day.
What we do now, Sergey, is everybody in the office is working code. If the phone rings and it's a code question, then you
I understand that.
respond to it.
I understand that, but so you would have the code enforcement quarter person at the other office answering the phone there and taking care of forms or whatever, and the actual code enforcement officer working there's 20 hours a week would be downstairs. Is that what you're saying?
I'm just trying to figure out how, when we talk about the part-time person, we figure the number of hours that person works. It's not one
Right.
designated person.
Right.
And if
I understand that, but are you gonna have her here or at the town offices? That's my question.
Well, then you're only going to have somebody here for part-time, and you're not going to have, you're defeating the purpose of
Right,
having somebody available to the
I
public for
understand
8
that.
hours.
I understand that. So the clerical person for the code enforcement would be at the town offices.
That's what I thought.
That's what we're deciding, and the code enforcement officer would still be
That's what I
downstairs here.
understood.
That's what,
Well, why would the code enforcement officer be here?
to work with the police department for code violations or whatever, and also all the files are here. So I guess you could move all the files up to the other office, but that's the question. The code enforcement committee recommended that the code enforcement officer stay in the same spot.
Because the files and everything that he works with was here. That
But
was why it was initially,
At that point, we were thinking of putting the administrative
Right.
office here, though,
Oh, I don't know.
instead.
Right, that's why I just would like to get that clarified for everyone that voted to accept the zoning and code enforcement subcommittee report. We should know what the plans are if you're gonna have the clerical person, who you had down as a one-quarter person, be with all the clerical people in the current town offices. That's fine. I don't have any problem with that. But for space and everything else, are you still thinking of moving the code enforcement officer up there or leaving him?
Well, let's go through the scenario. The phone rings for a code, so it rings on Phelps Street.
He's up
And
here.
hang on. She takes all the calls, because he's only
He's
gonna be
not
up here
gonna
20 hours. She's gonna take all the calls, call him and say, look, phone call?
And that's what I thought last week, because I thought the clerical person you were talking about was already one in the town offices, that you were just gonna share a quarter of her time for the code enforcement. That's what I understood.
Right.
Right, and that's,
All right, so all clerical will be up there, and the code enforcement officer would stay here?
How much does the code enforcement officer actually need the police to, I mean, I know he's got questions and things, but I would think not everything that he handles, he needs to verify with the police department. From a secretary's point of view, and this is only from a secretary's point of view, I would rather have the person I am doing paperwork for and stuff physically in the same building I am in.
Well, we can do whatever we have to do with him by phone, for that matter,
That's what
or
I'm
just
saying. I mean,
arrange to meet
I would
with
think a
him.
person, and that I'm just speaking, like I said, from my point of view, is that if I'm working with you, you're my supervisor, whatever, I would want you readily available, because especially if the phone does ring and if there's a question that I can't answer, whether you're, you know, hopefully you're in the office, maybe you're not, but you're more readily available to the clerical than they actually need to be to the police department.
I agree.
I think we need to find out how much time that individual uses his office downstairs. Is it there just for a catch-all? Is it there to meet with different business people and opportunities? Does he go there to reprimand people that have problems? You know, we need to figure that stuff out before you need to worry about
I
where
think
he
that-
is and where he isn't
I
going to
think
be, or
that
he or
goes to the
she.
individual, John.
Right.
Some people are office-oriented, you
Right.
know, and they use
Most of the
that. Other
time,
people are field-oriented.
The individual we have now is more hands-on. He's in with the clerks, doing the work, and he's out in the field. So I wouldn't imagine, I could be totally wrong, it's minimal use of that room. So really, it'll be minimal cost if it stays here or goes to the town office. If there's room up there, it's more or less just gonna be a storage for records.
that's basically what it
This
is
is
right
what
now.
I'm seeing.
That's
All right.
records.
That was my,
So-
what I was gonna say.
It's really not a cost factor that we need to put the cart in front of the horse right now. It's the determining factor, I think, would be is how much room's gonna be in this office after we get done with all the administration changes and what's gonna be up there. And if there's an empty room that he could use for his,
There could be. There is. Yeah.
well, if there could be, if there couldn't be, that's what, after we get done figuring out certain things, then that person's minimal, that room downstairs. It's not like you gotta
No.
redo anything, renovations or anything. It's just carry up some stuff, put it in a room, plug the phone in.
And if he
With
is
cell
there,
phones today, I mean,
Right.
it's,
if he is there, he could have the phone ring at both places, right? I mean, you could ring up to the town office and it could ring here too, in his office.
and
If he's there, he could pick it up. If
Doesn't
he's
matter.
not,
But I see Thea's point where you would wanna, hands-on with the individual. You wouldn't want a boss
yeah, I agree with that
3
too.
blocks away or in the next town over. You wanna be able to converse verbally instead of on the phone.
And the other thing we need to think about, and I agree, I think that person should be for the rest of the clerical staff. You got a business guy coming to Lyons that wants to put a business in.
You don't wanna go to
You got a
business.
homeowner that's coming here to buy a new house or build a house. You don't want to send them to a basement of a building. If we have the proper space, let's send them someplace where everybody's on the same floor.
Well, I know they had an office up there before.
Well, the only thing I'm thinking about, wherever it falls into the grand plan, you've got the space that's currently being used by the village clerk, deputy clerk, water clerk, mayor. That space is available for something. It's nice, I mean, it's nice space. Just a consideration. It should be used for something.
But like John's saying, as far as financials go, I don't think it's going to make a whole lot of difference whether they're here or there as far as the financial cost of adapting to where it's going to be.
Well, you're not moving a lot of physical support for any.
It's already
But
agreed
any-
upon
she was
what's
saying, though,
happening.
that's where the courts, I would assume that's where the judges'
Right.
offices would go, is over where Corinne is or wherever. You know, if we're bringing the courts here and we're gonna remodel the back room for the court office, but they still need their offices, so I would assume that
Majority of that's
that
gonna be
side of the office
courts.
would be for the
so
judges.
the zoning
chambers or
clerk is
whatever
gonna be part-time?
She's gonna be a full-time
Full-time, but
person,
they're
but
gonna-
only a quarter of a time for the code enforcement.
So I don't see, can we agree on that the clerk goes with the zoning officer? No matter where?
No,
No.
no.
because she's doing other village or town duties.
In the same building.
Yeah.
I think
She would
Jen-
need-
That's what I
Jen
meant,
means,
same
in the
building.
same
Oh,
building.
yeah.
Yeah.
Down-
Same
Yeah.
building, same desk, same
Yeah,
everything. It's-
yeah, just keep those two together. Can we-
Yeah, we-
Yep.
Then we can figure out whether it's gonna be
We
here
gotta
or
go to the
down
town
on
office.
South Street.
We gotta go
Then
to
they
the
gotta go to the town office, because that's where the clerk is gonna be
That's the best
3/4
The
of the time
paperwork
for the
is there, the
town.
books are there,
See, she's gonna work
the
for the town
records.
You're right,
3/4,
the judge's
and only a
office.
quarter of her time is allowed for.
All right, so I guess we've decided that, that will be decided at a future date.
Well, Sergey, back to the cost of the courts.
Yeah,
My thought would be, whether they're there or here, it really doesn't make a difference. We go after a grant to do the modifications. We don't get the grant, we wait for a year to do the modifications till we get the grant. The grants come pretty readily. There's a good chance we'll get the grant within a year or two. So that would be like an even keel number. I mean,
Right.
you guys got grants here, we've gotten grants here for the justice purpose.
But how does that figure in when we do financials? It's still a cost to the dissolution. So
It is.
somewhere we have to incorporate that in the cost of our doing this whole
But the
process.
revenue would come in also. You'd have a revenue to offset that cost
He's saying,
from the grant.
Cost of renovations you're talking.
Yeah.
so if the committee determines that the renovations won't be complete until the grant pays for it, then the fiscal impact, they're saying the fiscal impact would be negated.
Be zero.
So, I mean, if that's the recommendation, then that's we can certainly record it and document it that way. But
So
it's
we're-
up to the committee to make that decision.
Where would they actually hold court?
In your boardroom downstairs now.
Is that big enough?
well, it would have to be renovated.
Yeah.
See,
So that's what they're saying, that's where the renovation costs come in. Knock out the wall between the, where you're off, where the village meets now, and that, where your meeting room is, where we meet for our subcommittee meetings with the consultants.
Town clerk's office.
Yeah, that would be all one open space. So that, and everything would be on the first floor, so wouldn't be a problem there.
Can I just ask a question? So you would, if you did not receive a grant, you would leave everything as is?
Because that's kind of the question that's arisen now, is whether or not that's feasible.
Well, taking the wall out,
It's minimal.
yeah, that would
much
be.
cost there?
Yeah, we could get some of the, somebody to do it. Then if we want to make the final modifications, I would think the state would give us the justice grant because of what we are doing, whether it's dissolution or shared. And we're pushing forward with that. That's what they're pushing. So I would think it would be a great opportunity to get that grant.
If not, would you still be able to hold court and not be in any violations of justice as far as?
No more than we are already, so.
Maybe less than showing the
Yeah,
stairs.
yeah.
The big,
I would think, I mean, we've had the court personnel come in and look at ours down in the town hall. And I'll be honest with you, they're pretty easy to work with. I mean, there's some courts that are being held in houses in New York State. So, you know, we're one community, we got X amount of dollars. They're gonna work with us. We can only spend so much money. And what are they gonna do, kick us out? I'm not pointing that at you, but.
Is it possible that we could set up not another committee, but another division of this whole committee for renovations of the whole scenario? And have A, court, B, the boardroom, C, whatever, and have it so, okay, we know this stuff is gonna happen, but until it's all passed, it's really, how can we?
Well, that's what administrative's doing now.
Yeah.
I mean, if we could just have something set aside, not dollar amount, but what projects need to be done,
Well, that's what they're doing.
Well, we know what has to be done.
Yeah, we know what has to be
it'd
done,
be redundant to hire a
right, to have
person
another
to give you a
committee,
quote now.
right. So,
I guess maybe just come up with some kind of a figure.
Yeah, but we need a figure, but who's qualified to give it to us?
Any
Do we
contractor.
want,
Number of contractors get a hold of, that sounds
Just get a
good.
contractor and have him come down and give you an estimate.
Yeah.
Most estimates are free.
Yeah, if you get a general contractor, a big general contractor, I would think. Okay, have we beat that horse enough?
It's dead.
All right. Okay, so, the public administrative and finance, you're meeting again tomorrow. Do you think you'll have a report next week?
If we get
Answers.
some answers, yeah.
Well, the thing is, okay, we'll table that for now. If, public safety, are you gonna be able to have something this week or next week that's total?
I think I have at least 2 out of the 3 ready for presentation now. I have animal control and fire department. I think we're good with those 2.
Oh, okay. How are you coming
Are we
with?
not?
Did,
I thought we were good with all of them, but apparently not.
Did you modify the last fire department? 'Cause I didn't get one.
I didn't either.
I hand carried it and gave it to you.
Yeah, they weren't, there was nothing in the fire, there was 2 on the police department, nothing in the
Oh,
fire.
I'm sorry. Well, I guess I'm not right.
All right. Well, do you think it'll be ready next week?
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm just thinking that we're getting down Public Works and Highway and Parks. You're close, but you're still a ways away. Do you think you'll be ready next week?
I think we can.
Yeah,
I think
we've only got a couple questions as far as highway goes.
I know we're gonna meet with Diana County next week, so.
Right.
Just
So you
wrap it up.
think, so by next Thursday, we'll be able to have public safety completed? And you think you'll have the,
I think so, I mean.
Yeah,
look at that jumbo pretty close.
we've got a couple things. We have to track down the financial arrangement between,
Right.
for the barn,
all right,
okay? And I didn't get around to that. But Jim's, he got a lot of stuff done this week, and
so is the school cooperating when you're talking to them?
I haven't talked to him
Oh,
this week.
all right,
But
well, I
I'll
was
talk
just
to him
wondering, so that's the final,
Yeah, and
Stuff there.
I really don't see that as an issue because
They're gonna be doing the same as they're doing now.
it's gonna be, it's like 1/3, 2/3. I mean, we all have a third of the building, so
Right.
we're gonna take it over anyway, and I don't think the town has a payment anymore as far as the monthly. No, but the
We're
village,
paid up.
you're paid up, so it's just
No, it's
maintenance,
just
so.
Oh,
maintenance and
okay.
Utilities.
so there's not big,
So,
it's
no,
not a big
that big,
expense?
it's not a big
All right. So,
I mean, I don't know whether we have to legally change the agreement to the town, which, take the village off.
right, well, if the village is
Yeah.
dissolved,
Yeah,
it's
that's it.
it's automatically off.
Yeah. Okay.
So, but I was just wondering if we go to 50/50, you'll still
You
be,
might want to talk to an attorney about that.
yeah, you'll still be using 2/3 of the building?
Yeah.
All right.
I
And the
think,
school isn't interested in taking over any more space?
I didn't ask
if
him that.
necessary.
I can,
I guess, well, as long as you're gonna talk to them, you might as well ask.
yeah.
Make it a 50/50
There's
deal
also
instead of a
the
2/3,
buildings
1/3.
out back too, the salt bed, the salt box is joint, and then
Right.
there's a pole barn behind it, I don't know who
Yeah.
owns that,
I think the village does.
We could,
the village does.
so it would
So that would be
automatically
joint.
go to the.
Now, the salt barn right now is just between the town and village, the school doesn't have a,
The school owns the property, the school has full jurisdiction of the whole thing. And if I'm not mistaken, anything that's done down there, the renovation wise, is all 80% paid still under the grant,
oh, okay.
correct, Jim?
I don't know.
I'm pretty sure.
I don't know
If they
anymore.
do
I know
anything,
we
it still would
did,
fall under the 80%
When we
grant.
put the package together, it was 1/3, 1/3, 1/3, and then a
And
share.
there was a committee
shared.
set up that you talked to, over the school, town, and village, if anything had to be done, so. And then you would have to talk to Mike at the business office of the school for the rest of it.
So, are we done for today? Is there any more, well, if there are no reports to be given, and we've agreed that the water and sewer is done, and court and zoning, that leaves public safety, administrative and finance, and public works and highway and parks. So next week, we're gonna tackle the public safety, and the public works, highways, and parks. So that'll be a long meeting.
Yeah.
To make up for a short meeting tonight. And when you get the answers back from the state,
Also from Public Works and from Public Safety, there are
When the-
items in there that would have an impact
All
on
right.
the financials.
All right.
So probably won't be next Thursday because
right,
we're gonna need to.
Right. but
What's the deadline, the 28th?
we don't have a deadline. We were,
When do
our
I-
goal was.
When do I stop coming to Thursday night meetings?
When we're done. When we're done. The 28th was the goal.
Okay, I think
But-
we could still hit it.
I don't think so,
No? Why?
because it's gonna be at least 2 weeks minimum before administrative and finance can finish their end.
That'll be 20th.
And then everything gets turned over to the consultants, and there's also things that we have to discuss. We're gonna have an executive session now, after this is over, because there's things we have to get straight as far as logistics that need to be, we have to figure it out as a group. So we're going to, if there's nothing else to be brought up tonight, meeting's over. And we're gonna have an executive session.
What should we?